Alright, we're live.
Hey fisherman, Aqua Duelist here.
Hey guys.
That was like a weak opening, bro.
Forgive me, hold on. Thank you for joining the Aqua Duelist Podcast. On this episode, we will be figuring out why the Aqua Duelist can't get laid.
Oh, well, that's simple. I have a penis dysfunction.
It's stuck in the deck box, I swear.
Yeah. Anyways, so guys, it is almost Halloween.
The best holiday.
Um, huh?
It's the best holiday.
Oh hell yeah, dude. I love it when it's October because there's that one channel that just plays like a shit ton of Halloween movies all day, every day. We get Hocus Pocus, we get like all three of the Casper movies, like every year. It's just, oh shit, I kind of miss having access to cable because I would watch that shit all fucking October long. Like that's what was on TV. Like the moment I got up, I just turn it on and let that shit play all day. Oh man. Anyways,
Unfortunately, Mariah Carey's already begun to defrost, so we have to be careful.
oh fuck. Oh,
I'm
I'm gonna
not
go get.
sorry, Mariah Carey. I fucking hate your song. I hate how you sing. I hate that stupid song, and I hope to God if there is an afterlife, God tells you shouldn't have done that.
I'm gonna go get the clubs. We're gonna unga bunga caveman this bullshit. Anyways, sadly, it is almost Halloween because we really like fucking October because October's awesome. And well, as some of y'all know, I have a very crippling manga addiction. Um, very, very crippling. And well, me, and the other here happen to be pretty big fans of Junji Ito.
My full name is J.J. Dolphinson. You may call me Dolphy for short.
As you can see, we are both fans of Junji Ito. So it's just I've kind of wanted to do something that was not Yu-Gi-Oh related, and with it being October, and just I felt like this was a perfect time. We both actually just got Junji Ito's newest manga, Mimi's Tales of Horror. We both pre-ordered this and got our copies in yesterday. And we've already read them. I finished mine yesterday. Didn't you finish your copy today?
Yeah, I finished it today at work.
Yeah, I literally I think it was like as soon as I no, no, it wasn't even, well, I was off yesterday. So like as soon as that came in, I think it was about an hour after I said
Oh,
I had to do something real quick. I literally just read my copy.
oh, heads up, just slight spoilers, if not spoilers, for any of his stories. We will be making recommendations, but any of the images I might pull up might ruin some of the stuff. I do highly ahead of time encourage you to watch or read any of his work. I recommend heavily that you do not watch the anime. If you do, I feel bad that is your first exposure, and I highly recommend buying or reading online in general his work.
Yeah, I didn't touch any of the anime.
The anime, unfortunately, is a good example of why you can't trust animation. um, basically, so I have an image pulled up. Actually, what's a good
For
panel?
for those of you who don't know, any image that's pulled up, I actually cannot see because I'm just sitting here speaking to a microphone.
So let me see. I'm looking up a picture. This is a specifically a picture of Junji Ito with his cat in the manga, and you may
Oh,
notice this.
is it from Cat Diaries?
Yes,
Or
one
I'm
word.
sorry, Cat Diary. Yeah.
Yes. It's specifically like the really high definition, really highly detailed image of him kissing his cat on the face,
Okay.
and like it's that artistic interpretation of himself. You're not going to really be able to animate something like this without losing a lot of the detail because a lot of his work is really heavy shaded with a lot of like minor touches. Junji Ito has a very distinct art style.
Hold up, the fact that you literally like confirmed for me what manga it's in, and then just briefly told me the picture. I literally like pulled it out, and I'm looking at it right now.
So, this
That's
is
that's how bad of a fan I am, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it right now.
so I have a panel from the anime next to a panel from the manga. Well, this isn't a full one-to-one comparison because I think it's just slight editing, but this picture from the anime looks absolutely atrocious. Meanwhile, this bloody, gory mess that you would call the manga is, much better looking. And that's just kind of how that goes, is you don't really get this. Another good example of this actually is the Envy from Full Metal Alchemist.
Hmm.
If
All
you
right.
look at the monster that Envy is, it's like this really big, goofy 3D model. But if you look at the manga, it's this like horrific fucking monster with like all these faces growing out of it and human teeth.
But yeah, we're Junji Ito fans, and I
Gotta love
really
it.
wanted to
Gotta love
really
your body
wanted
horror.
I really just wanted to talk about Junji Ito on this channel. And I just now that we have the podcast going on, this is literally like the perfect time. Um, 'Cause, podcast just meant to be, kind of whatever. And for those who actually want to get to know us more, this is like the way to do. This is like the best opportunities is through the podcast. So,
I don't think
um,
people want to know much more about us because the fact that we are incredibly deranged individuals.
I mean, if you want me to just be up forward up front, I am just a fucking psychotic piece of shit loser that plays children's card game, reads mangas, um, and
Have you seen the
yeah,
intros I have made?
yeah,
The
that's
int-
another thing
the
too.
intro to the Phantasm Spiral video, you gave me an exact description of what you wanted, and that is nowhere near what you wanted. I don't know why I came up with that. Also, for reference, if anyone doesn't understand what he's saying, it is a copy paste of a crazy guy talking about the time cube, but I changed up some of the words to be relevant to the video. And without exaggeration, I don't know what it is, but whatever deity exists reached its hand into my brain and told me that this was a good idea, and he made a bad choice.
Well, that being said, so Dolphy, honestly, what were your legitimate thoughts on Mimi's Tales of Horror?
To get this out of the way and up front now, Doji Ito did not write this. He did illustrate it though,
Yeah,
and
this is one of his few stories or a few mangas that he actually did not write. The only ones is this, No Longer Human. He did do the cover art for Betwixt. He didn't do any of the stories in it, and he does have a collection, if I remember, that does have one or two short stories in there that he did not come up with. So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way real quick. Like that's like as far as stuff he has that's not his original work. There's very little.
so the thing about this is that Junji Ito is actually very particular with how he chooses what he wants to work on. And so, as someone who is remotely familiar with his work, I can guarantee you that this is in the realm of how he writes. So
Yeah.
his style of drawing works with it. Also, in the end notes, there's actually a illustration of him explaining that he was given a lot of freedom with the story itself. So a lot of some of the story actually is slightly his.
Also, I do want to throw this out there. The last story, Monster Prop, which isn't it's set in the universe of Mimi, but Mimi is not in the story. I just want to say this right now. That story in particular very much feels like like an original work of his, even though it's not. It completely fits him.
Yeah, I'll give actually here I left my copy on the table. I'll be right back, and I probably won't edit this out because I'll forget.
All right. The cool thing about me though is I'm literally like sitting right next to one of my books, well, my
I heard
bookshelf. I'm about ready to get a second,
I heard you
and
fucking
I
talking.
literally have a full shelf that's nothing but Junji Ito. So, like, I can literally just grab whatever I want and pull it out.
Here we go. Let me see a table of contents.
This man is so good as a mangaka that he literally has a full fucking shelf on my bookshelf devoted to him. That's how good he is.
Yeah, apparently in the notes as well, it says that he wanted the Junji Ito to make the main character girl like really pretty, and then he says in parentheses, "I guess she wasn't."
One thing too is even though he does the notes, the full like he does like an afterword before Monster Prop, he does like another little afterword like right after, but it's not in the form of a manga.
Yeah, it's that. Let me find it. It's that like
I
really.
just thought I just thought that was kind of cool. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I loved the fact that he did an afterword where it was just a two-page manga of him, which I thought was cool.
Him explaining his thoughts on the project, which I think is really cool.
I think there's only like one other manga where he does that, and think, I think it's the collector's edition of Cat Diary.
What
Specifically, he does that.
what I think is really funny is how he illustrates himself. Honestly,
Yeah, and from what I've seen, like he just illustrates himself as as how he looked like when he was younger, I believe. Because like I've seen a few pictures of him now, and I'm like, so yeah,
he's a nerd.
he's just fucking cool.
He's
But what's your honest thoughts on this one, my guy?
so I personally liked the stories, but like the stories were they were okay. I'm not gonna give them 10 out of 10 or anything, but I think personally I liked the story. Some of them were sixes, some of them were sevens, so I'm gonna give it a seven, 7.5 maybe, depending on the story.
Um,
I really the artwork because I've heard of some of these before. The one in particular that I'm actually most familiar with is the Woman Next Door, which actually had a small indie game which was the exact story but made in a pixel art style so you can play through it in a pixelated setting. So watching this thing that I actually knew transformed into like the how it should be visualized in my opinion was a really nice touch.
um, I want to give this one a like a 7.5 or an 8. Um, Personally, for me, I feel like Monster Prop was literally like just like the best thing out of it, and then the Scarlet Circle I think was also really good and memorable, but um I think the one where it was like I think it was called let me look at the table of contents because I want to make sure I get the name right here. It was Seashore. That one in particular, um, really fucking good. I think that to me kind of ties with Monster Prop. Um, Also, I'm not gonna lie, I thought grade placement was just really really weird.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm looking at right now actually.
Where it was basically the muscular dude moving the gravestones to look at him like flex and shit. Like I that was just it's just like that. like I'm not saying that was bad. It's just like that was just weird.
He looks like the YouTuber Dreg. If you've ever heard of that one, JREG. He looks like Shrek.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
Rustling in the grass was also. Um, I feel like that one needed a little more.
Yeah, I don't know like where that one was even going. If it makes sense, there wasn't anything in it.
Like they can't. It's like it's basically like they just come across a hanging corpse and there's like nothing but something coming out of it and going on the ground. Like I felt like that just actually needed a bit more to it.
Like
Um,
you didn't have to show what was coming out, but at least like all it says is like something fell out and that's it. No other information, no other context. Like they could have stopped it at the dead body looking at them or something. That would have been fine, but just what looks
I
like
think what would have made it a little more interesting is if the dead body turned to look at them, and then as they're running, every time they look back, it moves to another tree.
or like at least whatever fell out of it supposedly could just imply chase them before they get in the car and they escape they leave.
Yeah, like that one to me just felt pretty weak. Um, I'm not gonna lie, on the woman next door, I do wish we got to see what I wish we actually got to see the face.
Well, it shows you the face.
I mean, the thing is, it's pitch black. You don't see anything.
That's because nothing's there.
That's weird. So it's like you see something, but nothing's there.
Yeah, the like I said, guys, spoilers, but yeah, it shows you what's under it, and there's physically not a person there. Whatever that is, it's trying to pretend to be a person. It doesn't even have a face.
Yeah. Um.
To which the actual video I watched of the game in question for this actually was Junji Ito's inspired game, which I don't think that they actually realized the story was taken from Mimi's horror collection. But seeing this, what would be a Junji Ito style story illustrated by Junji Ito, kind of accentuates how like the premise of that.
I'm not gonna lie. I genuinely forgot what just the story, just the two of us was, and I'm flipping back and I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember the one where the girl's mom committed suicide by lighting herself on fire, and then her spirit was following the girl.
Yeah, that one. So
That one wasn't bad, but like I just looked at the table of contents. I'm like, I genuinely could not remember what that was, and I flipped through like, oh yeah, that's what that was.
what I really find interesting about that one actually is Junji Ito has a master of what I would refer to as the page turn. I'm not the only one who said this, so this is not like a hot take. You'll look at an image and then you'll flip it, and then the entire panel or the most obvious panel is this horrific, fucking well detailed nightmare. And I think that one's a good example, is because you look at the start of that page, you just take one good flip, and Mother of Mercy, he clearly put several hours into this one picture.
Yeah. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I am so happy that this release was so much better than the last one, which I know you didn't get. Um, but the Soichi collection was so fucking bad.
Is that the one with the kid who eats nails?
Yes, it was fucking terrible. Like, if you want me to be genuinely honest, the only story out of that I remotely even liked or enjoyed was at one. It was two chapters. I remember it was one of the stories that they didn't fit into one chapter. I think it was like two. He basically replaced like his teacher with his teacher and some faculty members at his school with like puppets. That was the cool, and it backfired on him. Like just straight up backfired on him. But this was like the coolest. That was just like the most enjoyable story in there. Out of everything else in there, I did not enjoy like any of it. Um, and I think what made this worse was we had another collection that had it had like three stories in it. One was the haunted house, and then there was another one called the haunted house Soichi edition, which literally there was like I think another one to that. So like all three of them were basically Soichi when he's an adult, and we basically got like I feel like they gave us the ending of what basically it's like they gave us the ending bit to the whole Soichi story, and they I was so happy they didn't reprint it in the Soichi collection, but I just I like that kind of gave me an impression that I didn't really like Soichi. I looked into Soichi a bit after that. I didn't really just like the character at all. And to be honest, I was when I saw that this collection was getting um, when I saw that this collection was coming out, I was not real happy. And then when I saw that Books a Million was doing the pre-order sale, because they do member exclusive sales, and it changes every Thursday. This was actually on pre-order for 40% off. I decided to scoop it up because I was like, I refuse to pay full price for this one. Like,
Oh, also, I figured I might as well point this out. Since like I said, Junji Ito did not write Mimi's Horror Collection. Its stories comes from a book called Shin Mimi Bukuro, or translated New Earmuffs.
yeah,
Yeah, so there's a lot more stories of this style if you would want to go explore that, John, like that author by
I,
Hirokatsu Kihara and Ichiro Nakayama.
I'm not gonna lie. One of the things in the afterward, he mentions how he was really looking forward to Mimi returning. So it kind of has me wondering if there's more stories, particularly for Mimi, and if there's a possibility Junji Ito would do a second, um, basically do like a sequel book to this or a sequel manga. Makes me kind of wonder if that's a possibility. Um, but yeah, just so much better than the Soichi collection, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I give the Soichi collection a 2 out of 10. Second worst Junji Ito book. I do not recommend it to anyone. Like I literally read it once. It sits on my shelf to look nice amongst all the other Junji Ito books, and it is never going to be opened again. It will just sit there and look pretty. That is its literal sole purpose.
Very look pretty.
Dude, I kid you not. Even what's ridiculous? I mean, not ridiculous, but what's funny is even local, like literally anytime, like I literally wanted to. I looked up reviews of this before it came out because I genuinely wanted to know what critics thought about this. Oh, this thing absolutely bombed at almost every review. Like people mostly hated this one, and locally, dude, like I'm gonna be honest. The stock they have of this manga in particular has barely changed since it came out. Like 2 weeks ago, I literally saw one of the workers pulling it off the shelf, pulling when was literally pulling this off the shelf to make room for other stuff. That's how bad the Soichi collection is doing. Like it's terrible. It's crazy.
I mean, they all can't be out of the park, you know. You can only write so many good things before you have to give it a minute.
Yeah.
Like
I
Stephen King
mean
hasn't written very many bestsellers since it, you know.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, at least with Stephen King, like I don't really read Stephen King, but I guarantee you, if it's not a bestseller, it's probably going to be mid-tier most of the time, which is fine. I'm not expecting every Junji Ito book to be absolutely amazing. It's just I don't expect them to be absolutely terrible like that.
You just expected better.
I mean, to be honest, when the Soichi Collection guide announced, I literally had no expectations on this one. This is the only one I genuinely just was like, no expectations. I don't even want to get this one, but I'm going to, and I'm going to literally force myself to read this because I like Junji Ito.
Let's see
I mean,
here.
I'm gonna be entirely honest. At least it was better than Censor.
At least it was better than Sensei.
You know what? I want to talk about this real quick and get out of the way. Okay, guys, I just want to say this. Out of everything Junji Ito has, there is only two mangas that I don't like. The one is the Soichi collection, and to me, what I think is probably like the absolute worst one is Censor. I remember reading the little thing, like you know how like books do like the little like synopsis thing like on the back and all that shit. Dolphy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I remember reading the little synopsis for Censor on Amazon, and I was like, "This sounds amazing. This sounds awesome. Sounds so freaking good." That synopsis was literally just the first chapter. I think it was let me pull this out. I haven't touched this manga since I read it. And I think it's chapter I want to say chapter 2 or 3. Let me double check. It might be chapter let's see, that's 54. Yeah. Chapter 2. The book I mean the being honest, the story should have ended after chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
It after chapter 2, absolute garbage. Absolute fucking garbage. It feels dragged out. It feels like there's not really much of a reason. And I will say this though, the suicide bugs, there's a chapter that go like I mean honestly it is it even like a full I think it's like half a chapter looking at this. Anyways, there's a chapter where we get to these bugs and they're called suicide bugs because they will actively like jump in the way for you to step on them and shit. Like they're basically trying to kill themselves. Um, Basically the whole thing is the main girl ends up going to like this cliff. There's a cafe nearby. A lot of people apparently commit suicide at this cliff. So they try to talk to her, and she goes to the waitress's home, and there's the suicide bugs pop up again, and the waitress basically steps on one who was like her ex-boyfriend or something. Um, that chapter, I'm gonna be honest, really should have been and should feels like it should have been its own story in in a fucking collection. And I get why they threw it in because the whole thing kind of the whole thing has this connection to Christianity in a sense, and basically the main girl kind of flies off the cliff and gets the suicide bugs to follow her. I get it. It's kind of like when Jesus casted out the Legion demon out of the one dude and threw them all in the pigs, and then the pigs committed suicide. Like, I get that's supposed to be a reference to that, so it kind of ties it, but it really doesn't. Um, but it should have just been its own story. Really should have. Like, I feel like after chapter 2, everything is just so kind of lost and out there. And even in the let me pull up the afterword here because he actually did do one for this. Um, yeah, here's what it is. Let me try to find the particular part in here. Um, yeah, here it is. It says, I often heard about how characters start to move on their own in long form manga, but I've never been able to understand it. Do characters really move around their own? The writer controls the story, though. But with this book, the characters might have been moving on their own for me for the first time. They went in strange directions. Um, Kyoko refused to be the narrator and was going to be off hiding somewhere. Wataru didn't write any reports despite being a reporter. Um, if only characters would have actually listened to me, this could have turned out much differently. Um, he then after that says, "I'll end the excuses here. To be honest, the original structure was vague, and a homebody like me who never does enough advanced prep would never written a travel log. So this is really the result of the bus driving away before anyone's on board. To me, it sounds like he didn't really know what he wanted to do here. And it's just that's how I'm seeing it.
Oh no, you are correct. That's basically what he's saying. And
Like,
the fact that he's willing to own up to that and the afterwards in the book says a lot.
yeah, and it's just like I said, the book was good for the first two chapters. And the suicide bug thing isn't even a full chapter. After that, it felt incredibly dragged on to the point where I genuinely questioned, why am I reading this? And out of all of Junji Ito's books, this is the only one that's ever made me really say, why am I reading this? Even with the Soichi collection, which I absolutely hated. I didn't have that thing of why am I reading this? Like, what's really going on type of deal. And it's just like it just sucks because I genuinely feel this one had so much promise. Considering it said, how it basically says that, this girl is basically drawn to, base of this mountain. Here it is. It says a woman walks alone at the foot of Mount Sengoku. A man appears saying he's been waiting for her and invites her to her nearby village. Surprisingly, the village is covered in hair-like volcanic glass fibers, all shining a bright gold. That night, as the villagers gaze up at the starry sky, countless unidentified flying objects come running down on them. The opening act for the terror is about to occur. That sounds really cool and good. Like, that sounds awesome. Like, I was excited. I was hyped. And then I got something I felt totally that just did not deliver, like, at all. It sucked. It was terrible. As much as I think that this is the worst Junji Ito book, I'm still gonna rate this higher than Soichi. I would give this a 3, maybe like a 3.5. Only literally due to the fact that it started out good, and quite frankly, this one's under 200 pages. I didn't feel like I didn't have that feeling of I was forcing myself to read it like I did with Soichi. Anyways, sorry, I got all that out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyways, well, now that I've gotten all the bad shit out, let's talk about the good shit. Because quite frankly, I just covered all the bad shit for us. Yeah, I did this. I talked about the bad shit, so you didn't have to, motherfucker.
All right. Alright, so I guess before we start, like, Tomy is considered Junji Ito's, like, the big thing. But I really need to accentuate, until I had owned a copy of Tomy, I had never considered. Listen to this. Do you hear that?
Hear what?
Just, like, the fucking book. This thing is thick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, wait, you actually have a copy of Tomy?
Yes, this is a 2-inch thick book.
Okay, I actually didn't know you actually owned a copy of that one, dude.
It's a 2-inch thick manga.
Okay, if you want me to be entirely honest with you, dude, the perfected editions of the Drifting Classroom are a bit thicker. Anyways, I just want to say this
Fucking out
since
here
you mentioned
flexing
Tomy,
on manga thickness.
huh?
Out here flexing on manga thickness.
Look, I'm just gonna be honest. The Drifting Classroom Volume 1, 742 pages of actual manga, not including the other like 6 pages I follow afterward. That is like literally the biggest manga I know that exists. Anyways, you mentioned Tomy, and quite frankly, that's my favorite Junji Ito manga.
It's like everyone's favorite. Apparently, like if there's a Junji Ito fan group, everyone's like waifuing over Tomy.
I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't waifu over Tomy, but I mean, I think everybody kind of agrees that I think it's like Uzumaki is like his best actual writing, as a lot of people seem to think. But if you want me to be honest, I think Tomy is his best, like his most well written actual monster. Like, I feel like even after reading all of Tomy, there is still like just so much that really makes you question like how exact like that you still wonder about how exactly does she work. Like I just feel like there's still some unknown factors about how she works in a sense because she's not just like she's not just a monster. Tomy is more of like a force. Like there's more than one Tomy, and the way it works is basically they all literally try to kill each other or have people kill the other kill each other, kill the other Tomies, so one can be the one true Tomy, but in doing so the Tomies that get killed split into more Tomies. Like Junji Ito did more than just make a monster there.
He made a concept.
Yeah. And I think for me, what really kind of does it is the first the first chapter where they mentioned she basically was cheating. She was basically having a relationship with a teacher and then gets cut up, and then that kind of leads into the next chapter where basically the dude finds one of the pieces of Tomy down by the water regenerating. Like that establishes there is, I think, like around 40 because everybody in the classroom got a piece of her. So like that right there establishes there's at least like 40 Tomies right there. But chapters 2 and 3, when she's in the hospital, oh my god, that was the best Tomy story. Like I absolutely fucking loved that. Which I hope you remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm trying to
and
avoid pulling up too much and saying too much because I really don't want to spoil a lot of this because you should read it.
I mean, think about this though. People who probably are watching this are probably also Junji Ito fans. So there's a really good chance they've also probably already read this.
Good point.
And if they haven't, then they're probably going to want to read it, considering how we talk about his mangas. And we did a spoiler thing at the beginning of the video, so I think we're good. So I actually want you, like, dude, just be free, say what you want to say about his work, dude.
Hmm.
Like, we are passionate people who are fans of Junji Ito. Let's have the talk. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, if you want to leave that in, go for it. It don't matter.
No, it's fine.
All
I,
right,
I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really don't feel like editing, so we're gonna leave it. Everything's probably gonna stay in unless it's really bad.
all right. But yeah, um, just like, to me, like, I absolutely loved chapter 2 and 3, um, and then kind of goes in with the concept a bit. But you remember later towards the end how the one guy injects Tomi's blood into a couple people, and then they grow up turning into Tomi's. Like, I think that concept alone right there really shows how much he really thought about this. Where it's not just, oh, if Tomi dies and gets cut up in a bunch of pieces, they all become separate Tomis. It's like, no, if any piece of, even if Tomi's blood gets into something else, that thing becomes a Tomi. Like, I feel like Tomi is just really, really fucking, like, well thought out and everything.
He has a habit of taking things that shouldn't be scary and making them way worse.
I mean,
Like oil, smoke, grease,
yeah. I,
women.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The Greece story, the one with like the bar, was it like the restaurant was like also their home and shit, and the place got covered, was like
Hmm.
absolutely drenched in grease. Like, as somebody who takes like 2 to 3 showers a day, um, because I'll shower in the morning when I get up, I shower when I get home from work. A lot of times I shower before I go to bed. If I go out anywhere, I come home. I'm First thing I do is I hit the shower. Um, I didn't find that story particularly scary, but I genuinely felt like I genuinely felt like I understood what he was trying to accomplish there.
That's how you feel.
It's just like, as somebody who, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big dude. Genetics suck. One of my issues is my back will get really sweaty really fast. Um, if I'm not in the cold, my back will get sweaty. That's just how it is. Um, Fucking sucks. Get that feeling of, I do get that feeling of, just the sweaty back, oily arms. Like, I understand it too. I understand it. I don't like it. I just don't want to feel dirty. And for me, that story in particular wasn't necessarily scary. It was more of just like, there's people who are actually like, to me, it was like, there's people who are actually afraid of and bothered by stuff like this. And I feel it for me, it was a little reassuring, because it was like, I felt like I'm not at that type of point where this actually scares me, but I don't like to be dirty. So that was like the only story where I genuinely felt like I was like, it made me feel like I'm okay in a sense, if you get what I mean,
Hmm.
which is really fucking weird. Um, but yeah, no, like, Tommy's just Tomi's just his most well written monster ever. Like, I'm sorry.
I
If you really dude, I'm just gonna be honest. Tomi is my favorite Junji Ito manga, and I don't even give that book. I don't even give that manga a 10. I actually give it a 9. The reason why I give it a 9 is because I'm not gonna lie, I do feel like the last bit of stories um, aren't as good. I feel like around halfway through, um, the stories kind of give me like a little bit of a different feeling, um,
hey dude.
and not in a bad way.
So random thing, someone just showed me the new Raid Raptor support. Yeah,
Okay,
we got a problem.
what's up?
Well, you can it's rank 5 if it's got a winged beast as a material, detach material, add one rank up magic spell from deck to hand.
Oh, is it any rank up magic?
Any rank up magic spell as long as it is a winged beast as material.
Well, shit.
And its other effect is you can detach one material, set one Raid Raptor spell track from deck. You can only use one of those two, so you had to pick.
Okay, so it's not entirely fucking busted.
Yeah, I figured you want to hear about that one because you play rank ups or decks that could use rank ups.
I mean, I don't know, because the only XC deck I'm playing is Sharks, but the only like rank up stuff it does, like the monsters do themselves though. Like, I play Nash Knight, which after I use the effect to clear something off the board, I just basically slap um, like full armor Crystal Lancer over it, and then that thing's big and beefy, and I just swing over something, and then if I need to, I just make Zeus. Like, I think the only thing I play, like the only deck I legitimately play that could, would play that uses a rank up, or that could use the rank up is I want to say like Banish Fish, Generation Fish, because I'm not gonna lie, the new water XT engine, the full armor torpedo guys, whatever. That's actually really good in that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm just gonna say it, guys. I'm fucking scrub. I know it's 2023, but I still fucking love Banish Fish or Generation Fish. That deck is like a dirty pleasure for me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like how do I say this? It's like the cheap whore that you keep going to on the street corner. Just absolute, just sucks, but it's like a TV dinner. It's good enough to make you come back. That was a terrible, terrible freaking. I can't even think of the right word. That was like a terrible comparison, but you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
The 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 deck is pure shit, okay, but I fucking love it.
Quality.
Yeah,
All right,
too
back
bad
on
we can't.
topic. Makeouts.
What?
That was a reference to Adventure Time.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, too bad we can't have a deck with Junji Ito quality. Oh shit.
Closest thing we have, I think, is like the Lovecraft deck.
Mm. But anything else you want to say on Tommy?
Not right now. Um, here,
Is there
what's that really weird one that everyone likes?
the one about the spirals?
Yes.
Uzumaki. Uzumaki is regarded as his magnum opus.
Yeah, if you Uzumaki, if you ever want to show someone like arts. Just pull up a picture of any of the panels from Uzumaki.
I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. Um, when I saw the description for Uzumaki, I wasn't entirely interested off the bat. It was one of those things where when I got into Junji Ito, I picked up I think like I picked up Tomy. It was like Tomy and I think Frankenstein. I picked up that collection, I believe, and I picked up one of the like one of the cheaper collections on Amazon, and then I started reading Tomy. I absolutely loved it, and then you came down for vacation, and then I remember I found out you were also a Junji Ito fan. And I remember we picked up Black Paradox, and then I dropped like $100 on Junji Ito that day.
It's that Books of Millions where those two girls are being snide and bitchy.
Yeah. Funny thing, she don't work there anymore.
Good.
Um, yeah. So like,
At least wait till you're out of the building. Like, come on, be an adult.
so yeah. I basically at that point started picking up more and more Junji Ito stuff, and every paycheck I was getting like 2 or 3 Junji Ito mangas, so I had stuff like to basically to where I wasn't gonna run out, but um. I saved Uzumaki for one of the last ones. If I remember correctly, I think I saved No Longer Human and Uzumaki to be the last ones I read before Tombs came out. Because when Tombs got announced, like I made the decision, I wanted to make sure I had read everything he had out that was available. Um, I read Uzumaki and then I read No Longer Human as the last one. Um, Uzumaki was a lot better than I thought it would be. And I actually did enjoy it. It's just when I read what it was about, it kind of put me off in a sense where I was just like, that just seems kind of eh. My expectations were met at best, and I feel like I got a little bit more than that. For me personally, I would give Uzumaki a 6.5. I definitely would read it again, but I just don't get how this is supposed to be his magnum opus. Like this is supposed to be his best work, and I'm just like, he took a concept of basically the of a spiral, heavily went with it, and I think he did really fucking good. And basically made it to where people in the manga were genuinely just afraid of just a spiral, or just the concept of the spiral. And the imagery in that was really fucking good. And when people were actually being twisted and turned to spirals, like that imagery was really fucking crazy. And quite frankly, I think that was honestly like the art on that one was the best thing about it. Um, but I just feel like Tomy was something that was written a lot better. Go was something that I just felt like as a story was better written. I think Uzumaki has some of his best, probably his best art, but I think the story doesn't deliver. I think I'm sorry, the story doesn't deliver enough to be like his best, thing. Like I would still read it again, don't get me wrong, but I just think he has other stories that are just written so much better.
Yeah, no, you are right on that one. Well, I don't know. I've read some of it. I don't want to give a hard opinion. I wanted to save that one for last, obviously. I'm still piling through the last bit of Tommy.
All right. Have you read Go?
Go.
GYO.
GYO. Yo, let me see.
It's the one with the fish coming up out of the ocean on the legs.
Yes.
Yes, that I still think it's funny. The original idea he had for that was, it would suck if sharks had legs, and that's what happened. Like, have you fully read the story?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so I just want to say this: the fact that we literally went from that particular idea and it turned into, yeah, so all these fish have these robotic legs that infects them with a stench to use like actual like stink chemical warfare, and it's all like from World War II. Like, dude,
Oh, don't forget how the gas is like sentient and evil.
yeah, yeah. I think the fact that we went from, hey, this would suck if sharks had legs, to this is literally absolutely fucking insane.
Let's then feed that idea shrooms and then give it the worst night of its life.
Oh, you know what I think is it's crazy. What I thought was cool was early in the story, he literally made, like, I think as far off as he went off from the original idea, he still really rolled with it by making the shark like literally a problem for like 2 chapters, and it's just like, holy shit! Like, he actually managed to take his original thought and concept and still made it relevant in this like extremely complex story. And I'm not saying like the story is like the hardest to understand type of complex. Like, no, it's the fact that we literally went from
One sentence.
to literally so basically there was a World War II secret project involving this like gas virus that infects things and makes them stink, and like what? And on top of that too, the fact that the scientist dude, who was like, I think it was like the one guy's uncle, literally builds a new version of that machine, which literally gets destroyed by the other machines.
Because they can tell.
Like, dude, like that one was so fucking good. Um, like that. I think was one of the, to me, I think is his one work that takes the hardest left turn possible, and I give it an 8.5. Like, highly recommend. 8.5. Absolutely love. Just went somewhere I was not expecting, and I think it's well written.
It's got like a bunch of stuff going on. It's got body horror, ocean, sci-fi.
Yeah, and the fact that he managed to make it all come together and work. That's like,
A love
I
triangle.
yeah, like I'm not even gonna lie. The fact that he literally took so many things and piled into one and made it work. I feel like that really, to me, Joe just shows what he's like as far as a writer, like what he's really capable of doing.
What I think personally, what's funny about the whole thing is like there are all these really weird, warped, messed up stories, and he is legitimately just a regular, normal, nice guy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. One of the things I really like with him is he takes a lot when he like a lot, and this is more prominent in his short stories, like the collections. He just takes random things that you wouldn't think is scary and then basically makes it scary to an extent. And of course, it's not going to click for everyone, but
Well,
the
no
fact that
way. There's a
like
Magic the Gathering card that's drawn by Junji Ito.
what?
Yeah,
Is it out?
yes. Elish Norn, Mother of Machines.
Is it a reference to one of his stories or something?
No, it's specifically just drawn by him. Elish Norn is a card in Magic the Gathering, though.
You know what? I would probably. I think. How expensive is it?
I don't fucking know. Let me find out.
Yeah, I genuinely want to know because I would probably, if the art's cool, I would probably pick that up. The more I look at my Junji Ito shelf, the more I feel like there's might be too much weight on there, and I feel like the shelf is starting to slightly dip.
All right, well, there's two versions of what you're looking for. There is the Magic the Gathering Phyrexia Owlby 1 set, which is a mythic rare, or the Magic the Gathering Art Series for Phyrexia Owlby 1. Obviously the mythic rare is $45 and the special rare is 22 cents. But that's only the art, not the actual card.
Huh?
So you can buy the full art card, or you can literally buy the full art without the card.
Is the full art without the card
Like,
cheaper?
yeah, but it's literally 20 cents. It's not a playable card, it's literally just a Magic the Gathering card, but instead of an actual playable card, it's just the picture. Like, the
Oh,
full card is the picture.
I would. I mean, to be honest, that's probably what I would want because I want to see the full extent of Junjiito's art.
Here, hold on. Boom. Let me send it to you. I'll show it to you. I'll send it to you Messenger right now.
All right, I'll look at it when we're done with the podcast. I'm like sitting here looking at the shelf. Ah, okay, I do see it. It is slightly it's dipping a little. Damn, Junji Ito. Over here breaking my shelves on my over here trying to break one of my shelves on my bookcase, my guy.
I'm just scrolling through Google and seeing all the shit he's drawn.
Excuse me.
If I drew this in high school, my mother would have put me in a ward.
Jeez. I'm not gonna lie. Black Paradox was really fucking good.
What's the name of the one where, like, there's all the holes?
Oh, the book is called Shiver.
This is my hold. It was made for me.
The fault of Onimagiri. It's like the fault of like something.
Oh, that's what that is.
Um, I was gonna say that was. I know that that one story in
Amigarafo.
particular. Yeah, that story in particular was put in Go as a bonus story. And if I remember correctly, I think it's also in. It's also in Venus. Venus in the blind spot.
Also, speaking of now, we can recommend Shiver as well. Shiver being an absolute fucking nightmare.
Um, Shiver as a collection, I feel was to me pretty mid. Um, I remember like looking at it because that's the one that had Grease. Um, you had obviously Shiver, which was the thing with the holes. Unused Record was really good. The one where like there she was like looking for the record with like the scat on it. Um, I remember that. I thought it was also kind of weird that they took a chapter from Tomy and stuck it in here as the painter chapter.
Why not?
I I mean, I don't know. Um, and then you got like the fashion. Oh, the fashion model. That was the lady that kidnaps Soichi, and like basically he ends up like marrying and shit. Um, I'm not gonna lie. The what is it? The hanging blimp. The story about the hanging blimp.
Oh, that's one of his more iconic ones.
That was what?
That's one of his more iconic ones.
Yeah, the one about the like the balloons and shit.
The noose balloons.
Yeah, that one was actually cool.
It's a very interesting concept. I like the ending.
I kind of like how it started, where it was like the two at night, like they, like they see like particularly the one point where it's like the middle of the night and she sees like the two balloons in the air. Um, that scene in particular, I think, was like one of the best parts. Um, the marionette mansion was like okay. Um, this is like one of the collections where I feel like it was very mid. I honestly looking at the what you call the table of contents. I honestly remember every one of these except for honored ancestors. Honestly, flip back there so I could see what it was. Uh, is it two? Am I the right one? No, no. Yeah, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I don't remember honored ancestors. Oh, that's the one with the fucking the ones where it's like when the people reach a certain age, like they're like the centipede head bullshit. Yeah, that was weird.
Oh,
Yeah, that one
also,
was.
bro,
Huh?
we're past an hour.
All right. You want? I mean, are you good to keep going?
Nah, man, I got my wife's gonna be home soon. I gotta get ready to go to bed.
Oh, damn. All right. Well, I mean, we didn't. I'm kind of a little disappointed we didn't get to talk about Frankenstein or
Here,
Love
let's do
Sickness
that real quick then.
because I genuinely feel like honestly the best collections he has are those two.
All right, so we can touch on Frankenstein real quick.
All right. I mean,
All right,
eh,
go ahead.
like I'm gonna be honest, his version, like his re-edition of Frankenstein, was actually really good. Um,
So, for context, for anybody who doesn't know, like the version of Frankenstein you see in the movies is nowhere near the actual original Frankenstein. I believe the full title. Yeah, Frankenstein, the modern Prometheus. That's the alternate title for the original and actual Frankenstein. The book is almost nothing like they do in the movies. It is dramatically insulting how they fuck up the actual concept of Frankenstein in the movies or anything like that. It is
um,
insane.
I just want to say this real quick because I do like his version of Frankenstein. But he does also have Six Tales of Oshikiri, which I just want to say, um, if those ever got re-released as like a collector's edition of their own book, I am buying that up in a heartbeat. Like those were so fucking good. Where it's like the one student who lives in like this big like mansion area, like this big like castle mansion thing, and basically there's a doorway to other dimensions, or like other dimensions or like parallel universes, however you want to think about it. Where there's basically it's basically another version of the world basically, and one of them is basically an evil version of the main guy who's like doing experiments on people and killing them and shit, and he's basically bringing the bodies of those people and dropping them off in the main character's dimension. Like, it's so good. And then like obviously villain gets trapped inside the walls of the house and shit. Just the whole thing was so fucking cool. Like it deserves to have its own book. I feel like it genuinely should have had its own book. Like, I literally will give that collection a 9 out of 10 because the other few short stories you get in there are also good. You have like I think it's like the spirits, like Bog of the Spirits or something like that. What was it? Yeah, Bog of Living Spirits, really fucking good. That to me is like one of his better, like just one shot chapter short stories. Like, really fucking cool. I liked it. Like that collection is arguably like his best collection. I mean, even though Tell Me, if you really look at it, it's just a really big collection about, that comes together as one story. But you get what I mean.
Yeah, Tomei's like an amalgamation of stories, but with one central character.
Yeah, whereas the other ones you don't really get that. Like you have like I said, in Frankenstein you do have those 6 stories for the one thing, and then in the Love Sickness collection, um, the first was it five? The first 5 chapters is one story, and it's actually called Love Sickness. Um, which that was like really fucking good. I'm not gonna lie. Um, and I think those are like the only two. I feel like those are the only 2 collections that actually do that. Um, which honestly, even if Love Sickness got its own little collector's edition, I would definitely pick that up, with, like, in a heartbeat. Like, it's really fucking good. Um, I'd probably give Love Sickness as a collection probably like, I'd say maybe like an 8. Just because the other stories in there aren't really super memorable. Going to be honest, kind of looking at the table of contents, I only remember like 3 out of the other 5 stories, and one of them's like not even really a story. It's like a few pages long about how like Junji Ito had like basically had like this thing with like fake poop when he was a kid, when he was younger. Like, I just kind of thought that was kind of funny. Um, I genuinely feel like Frankenstein and Love Sickness are like his 2 best collections, but they kind of break, I think, so many rules for like as far as the other collections. Like, they are just the 2 odd ones out. Like, they're not formatted like the rest. Oh, that's what I have to say about those.
All right, well, I think we're gonna call it here.
All right, so thank y'all so much for watching and sticking through. 2 idiots rambling about a mangaka they really like. And we'll see y'all in the next podcast.
All right, we'll see you then, guys.